You can touch.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the long-awaited return of Mike's movie podcast featuring Evan with special guest Adam. After a long delay, a rain delay, you might say, we are back talking baseball movies, specifically Rookie of the Year, a David Stern film. And by David Stern, I mean Daniel Stern. Anyway, let's start by talking about the movie. And who's your favorite character, Evan?
Well, we had this conversation last night, and the only character in the movie that I didn't find insufferable is the mom. And that doesn't mean that I liked that character. It just means that she's the only one I could tolerate. I actually don't want to quite talk about that yet, though. I want to just sort of set the stage. We want to just be clear what's going on here, because it's not very often. In fact, I don't know if it's ever happened that you see you and I sitting in the same room doing this podcast.
Yeah, so that is accurate. There have been past occasions where we've been in the same room. So if I remember correctly, the 70s podcast, that was Adam and myself.
I think that's generally regarded as our greatest episode ever.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm actually a little bit surprised that we even created more content after that.
Because
that was all we needed.
Because we had a thesis in that one, which is unusual.
Yeah.
So it's like there was a theme running out throughout.
Yeah.
And it was also set up as a debate so Mike and I are both doing this from Seattle today.
That's right.
It's my first trip to Seattle since 2000. Whenever I stayed with you, Adam, and we watched the Japanese porn, and Mike got uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
And that was also when we had pizzas, and Mike made the joke, I think we need less Paul and more Evan.
Still true.
One of his best jokes. And I think that was like 2014.
That sounds about right. That's when Matt Sword moved away. He was like, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it's kind of a special occasion, and like one day the dream is that we will all be together doing a podcast in person.
Has that never happened?
No, there has never been a podcast. I think now there was the famous 2017 Alien Covenant podcast, which was recorded from the North Carolina studios. But yeah, you were not there. That was also Nick and Mitch were there, but I believe you were.
Those other guys just fucked it up. That's not one of our best episodes. That's why we need to redo it without them to do a better job.
Well, we always think it's going to be a good idea to have those other penis boys on, and then it's
they're
just
like a deer in headlights. They don't know how to fucking podcast.
They're not entertainers. You see, we're professional performers. Professional. I don't think you wouldn't call us comedians.
Mm-hmm.
It's something beyond that. But we're here, and we're doing this. We have only we only have a couple hours because we've got big plans after this.
We only have a maximum of 2 hours and 29 minutes here, and I don't know if that's going to be enough time to
use every second, but that's okay.
Yeah, every second will be packed with juice and gristle and creme de la creme fit for a movie of the caliber of the one we're going to review. Which, by the way, this episode is brought to you by Carhartt Apparel, which is clothing made for fat men who want to look a little bit less fat.
I wear Carhartt. I'm not fat.
Well, I stand by what I said, and
Well, so I think
I wear Carhartt to look bigger. I wear a big Carhartt jacket because it makes me look less frail and thin.
Maybe that's the big flaw in my logic is I think it's making me look less fat, but it's actually made.
We're also brought to you by Diet Coke.
Yep.
Favored by babies and recovered alcoholics the world over.
Yeah. We do need to get a sponsor for this.
You'll never know which I am.
I plan on cracking one open a little later.
Yeah.
After the nitro wears off. We've been doing a lot of caffeine, a lot of grease on this trip. I'm visiting my best friend, and we've been doing it right. We were talking about capitalism right before we started recording.
As usual.
And I wanted to talk about a capitalist experience that I had last night with Mike. But Mike procured tickets to a game featuring the Seattle Kraken, which is Seattle's newest sports franchise.
That's right, NHL.
They are an official NHL organization, and we were there with a sold-out crowd.
That's right.
And we ate Seattle sausages, which
Yeah.
if you
What's
don't know,
Seattle sauce?
if you don't know what that is, it's a hot dog or a sausage with cream cheese and sauteed onions. And it's incredible.
With cream cheese. What do you think? Is this fair? I'm experimenting with my life.
You look like you're about to perform or receive surgery.
Yeah, it's like lighting out of the dentist.
Cream cheese hot dogs last night at the Kraken game. The Kraken won. They beat the Edmonton Oilers, who are the second best team in the Pacific Central Southwest Division. Tech.
That's right.
National. Is that right?
I'm just gonna keep doing this while you guys sport. Whenever you're done talking sport,
Trying to
I'll
catch
stop
my
playing.
stride here. It always takes a minute to catch my stride. You know, this is kind of the warm up, you know, and the truth is the warm up for this show is better than the best part of any other show, is what I think.
Wait, so what does that have to do with capitalism?
Yeah, I thought that the Kraken event made me think a lot about capitalism because there were a lot of wealthy people there buying hockey jerseys. We almost bought hockey jerseys. We almost got swept up in the capitalist brouhaha, right?
I feel like if I was going to compare it to someone we know, but I won't. We all know who I'm talking. If I ever just gave up in my life, I feel like if I was just lounging around the house, I would be nude in an oversized hockey jersey.
Yeah.
I don't care clothing because
I'm
they're so
imagining-
smooth.
Yeah, I'm imagining you doing that and getting up in the middle of the night and tiptoeing downstairs and eating peanut butter straight out of the jar with a spoon with your hockey jersey and nothing else on. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I might do sunflower butter, but
right. Peanut butter is capitalist. It's anyway. That's all I had on capitalism was the Seattle Kraken.
a hockey game was all you had on capitalism. How much did the tickets cost? Let's get capitalist about it.
Yeah. Now you just made Mike uncomfortable.
Well, no, the tickets there. So the tickets are pretty expensive because it's an expansion team.
Make
so
him
the
guess.
ticket-
Make him guess. Make him guess.
The tickets were between $1 and $500. And do you want to guess where they fell on that spectrum?
$499.99.
Yeah.
We could have moved a couple rows up and that probably wouldn't have been too far off.
Yeah, how close were you?
So we were in the second level, row J. But it's, yeah.
Second level row J, the Kraken game. Now, is
Balcony.
Yeah.
I think about this in terms of the theater. The theater, that would be the balcony.
Mike has his own sports loge for most games, but we didn't use that this time.
His own what?
A loge.
I don't know.
Loge? Okay, all right. So
Loge? Like Loge?
Isn't the loge like in the theater at the opera? Those little
Well, you may be calling my bluff because I have no idea.
Intrusions that come out where just a couple people sit and you sit there in the loge and you get your monocle out or your little binoculars and watch the opera.
I can't decide if it's funnier if you're right about that and you knew about that.
I am right.
Or not right.
I mean, we might have to look it up because I always thought that the loge level, like you'll have like first level and the second level, but like the loge level is sometimes a smaller level that's in between.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I always thought that was
Like the 9.5 4 from Being John Malkovich.
A small compartment booth in an enclosed group of seats for spectators in a theater. Small partitioned area.
So yeah, you call my bluff. I don't actually know.
But anyway, we didn't get the loge. We did look up how much Skybox tickets might be for our next game, for our next capitalism game.
And?
Well, you have to email the Seattle Kraken and they send you a quote. But the best evidence that we could find suggests somewhere in the ballpark of $8,000 to $10,000 per game.
But you didn't email for a quote.
No.
Why not?
Well, I don't live here. I'm gonna
Call
get the quote. I'm gonna get the quote for Carolina Hurricanes when I get back.
Mm.
And then,
My favorite capitalism commentary in the movie is when the old owner goes down in the stands for the first time and doesn't pay right for the hot dogs. And he's like, $3 for a hot dog.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have no idea. What would a hot dog cost at a Major League Baseball game now? If you were to go to whatever the fucking
we paid $12 a piece for the hot dogs last
So
night.
the thing,
Are you fucking kidding me?
Well,
$12. It has gone up by ×4 since
so
1990.
I need to jump in here because when we're talking about a hot dog, is that there are a lot of different varieties that you can get at the game. So it's not. So I think for that game, Rookie of the Year, it's like just like your standard Oscar Mayer basic. Like when you think of a hot dog, that's what you think of. Like what we got was like, I guess, gourmet as far as it would be concerned. So I think if you were to go to a Mariners game and get like just a basic hot dog, no frills, no fuss, that would probably be $7 or $8.
Okay.
Ketchup's $1 extra.
Yeah.
We
Get that cash ketchup trash off my dog.
Yeah.
These were Seattle sausages. I told you they were big honking jalapeno gourmet sausages with cream cheese and sauteed onions.
If you had to guess how many calories, what would you say?
In those sausages, I would say 700 or 800 calories.
Yeah, probably something like that.
6 or 7, 8.
If it was as high as 900, though, I would not be surprised.
Sure, because of the cream cheese.
Yeah, because of cream cheese. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was great, man. We saw the Kraken. We saw the birth of we witnessed part of the birth of an NHL team.
Wasn't there recently a thing where Gene Simmons was involved in like a new football league in Los Angeles or something? They had a dumb name. Do you know about this, Mike?
So there are a couple of things that I'm thinking about. So how recent are we talking about? Because they're
like 5 years.
Okay, so 5 years, I believe. When the Arena Football League was around, which I believe has since folded, there was a team.
It's definitely done now. But do you remember what the Gene Simmons LA team was called?
Well, I believe there was a team called the LA Kiss.
Yes,
So
I'm trying to.
Yeah, so I think that would
have. You guys done a Kiss draft yet?
Dude, they don't have 5 songs that are draft worthy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the Kiss draft is like what? Like Love Gun, Strutter.
Yeah. What I was made for loving you.
Lick It Up. Lick It Up is actually my favorite Kiss song.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Because I like to think about licking it up. That's how I feel about life. You just gotta lick it up.
Yeah.
Baby.
Licking up this Diet Coke right now. Thanks, Diet
You're
Coke.
living the dream. You got Diet Coke, you got pizza. It's not dinner time for us yet. We're gonna probably get some Papa John's later. And AKA the best restaurant in Mike and my
home. I'm here to talk about movies.
Yeah.
I was like, Rookie of the Year.
The formula is, yes, I know. We know you're here to talk about movies and I'm not. And so my job.
I'll show you. I've got quite a few notes to get through here. These are my notes.
We have notes too. Go ahead, Mike. We went to Scarecrow Video. Okay.
What you got?
I know movies. We have As Good as It Gets and Pretty Woman. No, we have Castle Freak and Manitou. Both things.
Manitou, top notch. Castle Freak, kind of shitty.
Okay, well, we're gonna watch Manitou first then. You actually recommended this to me, Adam, like 4 years ago. You don't remember?
I probably recommended it to you like 15 years ago when I was really excited about it. And Brian.
No, because I was over at the Vortex Video in Raleigh, and I was looking at movies. And anyway, you recommended it, and I asked if they had it, and they said yes, and I couldn't find it. Anyway, so now we're gonna finally watch it at long last.
It's great. But there's a lot to chew on in that one.
We got a lot to talk about with not Little Big League, Rookie of the Year, which the original plan was to watch in conjunction with Little Big League, because these were sort of the 2 quintessential early 90s penis boy baseball movies where something miraculous and unusual happens to a small boy and they get involved with Major League Baseball.
Right. And I think
crucially, this one was first and this one is better. And I definitely was thinking about how Little Big League was stealing things. This one.
Okay, so this is okay. So yeah, so I will jump in because I think for this podcast here, I don't think that we can talk about Rookie of the Year without also referencing Little Big League here. And so we did. So Evan and I, when being in Seattle, we did some pre-work here. So this is not the first time that we're talking about the movie and discussing it. And I will say, just to kind of set the stage for some lively debate here, is that one of the discussions that we had in drawing comparisons between the two, is we weren't sure if Rookie of the Year came before or after Little Big League. But what we decided was that if, in fact, Rookie of the Year came first, which is true, if that was the case, then what we concluded is that Little Big League learned from the mistakes of Rookie of the Year to then
think those are
to create a vastly superior motion picture. And
just to preview, Mike and I agree about this movie, which is unusual. So it's already shaping up to be a podcast where Mike and I,
what an abnormal dynamic.
One thing, and Adam disagrees, and that never happens.
And honestly, I when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this would be fun because we'll all be like, oh, this was so great and so much better than Little Big League. Okay, I'm surprised to hear you guys prefer Little Big League, and
I'm just as surprised. So I honestly am super excited to hear what you think were the attributes that made this superior to Little Big League, because I can't think of a single one other than the attractiveness of the mom.
Well, for starters, related to that, the cast, for sure, like wall to wall. Like, you're gonna compare that fucking red-haired Punis from Little Big League to Gary fucking Busey?
You're right on paper, but none of the cast performed. It's like you had all these.
Are you saying that Daniel Stern, in his own role in his own movie, doesn't excel doing the dumbest ever?
Daniel Stern, Home Alone, genius. And then he dials it up like 2 notches for the movie like this, and it's just overwhelming. It's overwhelming and thoughtless.
Those 2 doors, there are very few things, just like with Little Big League, there's only a couple little moments that stuck in my brain from when this came out on video and I watched it. One of them was Daniel Stern stuck between the 2 doors. The other 2 are the very obvious ones. One, I did not know until it happened in the movie that this movie was where the exclamation "funky butt lovin'" came into my life. I did remember, I knew that Pitcher's Got a Big Butt. Do they also do Pitcher's Got a Big Butt in Little Big League, or is that
Little Big League has class?
Well, so I think we could start with talking about the Daniel Stern character, because I just found that character to be too abrasive to be funny.
I wished the whole movie was like that.
It was Daniel Stern's character was too Mike on New Year's Eve for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
you're saying you don't like that. You're saying you're opposed to Mike on New Year's Eve.
Time and a place. Mike can be Mike on New Year's Eve, but Daniel Stern, and also I'm surprised because, like, yes, I would concede that the getting trapped between the 2 doors is funny, and that like a little bit of that intense Daniel Stern would be good. But it's just like, it's like drinking from a fire hose where it's just this constant, like the singular same thing. He has no other gimmicks in the movie, but this.
Yeah, but so you're saying in your alternate superior version of the movie, he just is more boring, and that would be better.
I'd say he's more like unidimensional or multidimensional.
It's like less.
So you wanted a more nuanced comic relief.
Yeah, like his role.
You wanted to know about the interior life of your comic relief buffoon character.
No, I want him to be more like he was in Home Alone, where like he's funny just when he's like talking at a low volume and when he gets the wrench dropped on his head. But this movie was like just getting the wrench dropped on your head the whole time.
Yeah. But only him. And that's one of the things I liked about this is he is in a different movie than everyone else. He is at one end of the spectrum, and then the other end, they're very taking it so seriously, doing very subtle naturalistic acting work, is Gary Busey doing like way too serious of a job, which I also like. I like that Gary Busey is like doing a very sincere, like, oh, I'm old and I suck, and maybe I'll bang this lady. That's all I got left. And then Daniel Stern's like,
one of my favorite scenes is where Gary Busey calls little Jimmy or Randy Henry over to the seat next to him on the plane. Hey, what'd you get? And that whole exchange, the kid's like, chicken fingers. And Gary Busey's like,
he's like, how were they?
how are they?
Yeah.
They're great. What about you? And he's like, one of the best Salisbury steaks I've ever had in my life. You want to try?
I really like to believe that was just ad-libbed. They were just like, yeah. I also like to believe that when they send him to the mound to give him advice and he gives him the speech that makes no sense, that Gary made that up. Because that sounds like the kind of gibberish he would say on I'm with Busey.
Wow. Well, so there are a couple of things I want to touch on there. I want to go back to this Salisbury steak part real quick, because for that line, when he said one of the best Salisbury steaks I ever had, I didn't know if that was intended for his character to sincerely be like, oh, I'm just loving the Salisbury steak. You got to give it a try.
Airplane Salisbury steak.
Yeah. Which is a hamburger. Sorry. Just a quick, a Salisbury steak is a hamburger with gravy on it. That's what that is. So,
yeah. So I didn't know if that was something where it's like, I'm an old grizzled player and I've taken thousands of flights, and just like basically kind of being sarcastic about that best Salisbury steak I've ever had, where it's really, he's being
sarcastic. I did not think it, I didn't read it as sarcastic at all.
Yeah, because
exactly what I'm saying. Like, if he was being sarcastic, that would move him closer to Daniel Stern buffoonery. But he's like, no, I'm gonna make it really serious.
Yeah, I think though that the mound visit, I think that was probably more of a pre-planned, written out, intentional thing, because like, from baseball,
it's just such gibberish.
Yeah,
what does he say? Like, the have to? He's like, you got to find your have to. Or what
but I think they were like making fun of like sports pep talks during that one, that particular scene there. And it's like, if pitching coach goes to the mound, like, what are they even saying? So I think that's what they were going at. So I thought that was funny. I thought that was a good scene, a shining light.
I mean, me too. I loved it.
Yeah.
But again, like, so I think there's probably a lot of that ad lib. I think Daniel Stern, snorted a bunch of coke with John Candy and Gary Busey, and they just said, it's one of those things where you have these like inappropriate, overweight white males who are going to decide to make a classic Penis Boys movie. I'll also say, I think Rookie of the Year is more of a classic PB flick than Little Big League. I think Little Big League is like an actual movie, and Rookie of the Year is a super duper penis boy, Air Bud type shit.
I agree. To me, this sounds like you agree with me that it's better.
Well,
I don't want to watch a real movie.
Yeah, but like, so you pop in a movie like Rookie of the Year that got that much publicity and has like John Candy and Daniel Stern in it, and you expect to see something a little bit more John Hughesy. Whereas this is,
and then you're like, wow, this is better than that. I'm so excited.
So if I could rewatch it with that mindset, I would probably agree with you. But at the same time, like, it is super, yeah. And I guess this makes it even more like what you're talking about. It's just like really grating. It's grating. Like everything the kid does, like every time he smiles.
Here's my impression of a third of the kid's performance in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa.
If you edited together all those parts, it's literally like 10 minutes of the movie.
That must have hurt. It's just like every penis boy's stupid thing. So yeah, I guess I agree with you then. I mean, it sounds
there you go. I'm right. We're done. Case closed.
So it depends. I mean, like, you have, again, like, there's a million different ways to watch a movie. Like, if I'm going to sit down,
there's only one.
Rookie of the Year is
you do it right or you do it wrong, and you did it wrong because you're wrong.
There's not only one.
Yeah.
How can you say that? There's not only one.
Yeah.
How dare you?
So let's talk about.
Oh, wait, before we get sidetracked, I want to know, and I'm really bad at remembering what I know other actors from. I know Evan, specifically with PB stuff, you're better. You and your Nick in particular, very good. His two buddies, the two boy buddies.
Yeah,
I had to look it up. Do you know what we know him from? Because there's fucking heavy hitter penis.
Well, the blonde fat kid is in a lot of shit. He is in the movie It, and he is also in Heavyweights.
But so it was he's the poet, right? Your hair is-
Correct.
Yeah.
That you always used to quote. Mike used to
Yeah.
quote that kid's character from It all the time in high school.
What your hair is winter fire,
Yeah.
January ambers, my heart.
I don't think he's in It. He's not in It. I don't know who you're thinking of in It, but he's not in It.
It's him, right?
Well, I mean,
I pre-opened his Internet Movie Database page. I'm gonna read you the heavy hitters. Are you ready?
Well, heavyweight, big one.
TV bullshit. And he's not in, and the crazy thing is he started being in anything in 1990. TV bullshit I've never heard of, Erie, Indiana, blah, blah, blah. Beethoven, Bully #1. Beautiful, perfect.
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year, that we're talking about. Camp Nowhere,
Sure.
who I don't remember who the fuck is Camp Nowhere. Heavyweights, and then his final film, Heavyweights 95, final movie 96, Lawnmower Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace. In 96, he was fucking done. He's only movies for 6 years, but I was like, I know that fucking guy because almost all his theatrical features are, classics.
The other kid is harder. Clark is harder. And I know
I knew nothing. I was just like, I know them. I just had to look it up. I for sure didn't know. He's in more stuff. He had a slightly longer career than the Evan. I'll call him the Evan guy.
Yeah, right.
You have no guesses, or you want me to just read his?
Wait, who's the blonde guy is the Evan guy, or this guy is?
Blonde guy is the Evan guy.
Because he looks like me. Yeah, okay, got it. So this other guy is in what?
I can tell you, or do you don't?
I'm not gonna guess. It's on the tip of my nose.
So he started earlier. He started in '88. Blah blah blah. TV bullshit. Quantum Leap. His first big one, which is definitely one I recognize it from. He's the young kid in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Oh yeah, that's right. Of course.
I don't remember him this, but he's a kid in Forever Young, and then he's a one I remember him less from, but he is pretty highly billed. Leprechaun, but then the other big one is fucking Mr. Nanny, which was that's his last movie before Rookie of the Year. Mr. Nanny, Rookie of the Year, and then TV bullshit. He was like a guest episode of Full House. This, and I will say that is a strange thing about Rookie of the Year for a lot of people.
This was
their last big studio thing.
That's because
Daniel Stern, last big studio. Gary Busey, last big studio thing.
Yeah, but so you just confirmed my point. Like this movie ended all those careers. It was that
and
bad.
that makes it bad. Things that aren't successful are bad.
So right, I will agree with you that the movie is good if the criteria for being good is that it's bad. But it's also
the criteria for it being good is that I have fun watching it, and I had more fun watching it.
If you're looking for an obnoxious bad movie, perfect. Yes. If
you really think it's a bad movie, I literally was watching it going like, "This is what I'm fucking talking about. This is the kind of fucking dumb kids movie I want to watch."
It is that. I mean, we're at a kind of like. I think we've established what's the deal here, right? Like Little Big League is not that kind of movie. Little Big League is like a solid all around, like just good.
There's too much. Here's another thing I like about Rookie of the Year. Way less of the mom romance bullshit. There's about 3 short scenes of mom romance bullshit. That's like half the fucking movie in Little Big League.
Well, so this is why though I think that like not Rookie of the Year, Little Big League is a superior movie because
you like the mom romance bullshit?
No, I mean, we're talking about this like in terms of like the quality as a movie because those are 2 separate storylines that actually intersect with each other. So like there's
not really in either case, they're the same storyline in either case, and they're a totally superfluous storyline that could be recognized. I would enjoy just.
No, because in Little Big League, like the storylines are the baseball player and the mom, and then Billy being the manager of the team, and like those 2 storylines intersect to create the conflict when he benches the baseball player because the jealousy of him dating his mom. So whereas like Rookie of the Year is just like kind of a hodgepodge of like individual things that are happening that don't really connect.
Like the dad is the manager, not the kid. Other than that. Also the same thing where it's like, well, he's gonna take the team, make you to a new team, and what about mom's romance then? It's the same thing, but I don't want any of that. Just let the kid.
That's the thing. I think the manager is like kind of its like own like self-contained vignette where he's just like kind of this slime ball character who's trying to sell him to the Yankees.
What's his name?
But here's it. Okay, pause, time out. There's too many things I want to talk about here. So the number one. one of the most demented scenes in the movie is the fight where they finally have, where the manager guy tells him that the mom doesn't know who the dad is, and
So
she punches him, and everybody that in that scene, all three of those people ascend to the Daniel Stern level of acting just for that scene. And also, I swear to fucking God, they like had the manager bad boyfriend like rinse something on his teeth. His teeth are like dark. They like had him swish like dark fluid on his teeth in that scene to make him look evil. But what I really wanted to say is up until even including the decision to sell him to the Yankees, if that guy was like, I'm going to manage this kid who's a miraculously good player, he isn't, except for trying to get rid of Gary Busey. And even then, Gary Busey had been sucking. Pretty much my point is almost nothing that guy does, if you don't let the movie present it in a biased way, is really bad. He was like, hey, here's a kid. I'm going to manage him. Let's get him as much, profit and acclaim for what he's doing as possible. And everyone is like, oh, this guy. And then when and it's biased when he tries to get rid of Gary Busey, but also it's shown that Gary Busey's done. And Gary Busey knows he's done. That's kind of the right choice for the team from a business perspective. If he's trying to be a businessman, he's doing a good job. And the only thing he does that is would be like actionable is that he doesn't reveal to the mom what she's signing.
Well, he lied to her.
Yeah.
He
didn't lie to her. He just said it's his contract. And she was like, she's a dumb bitch and doesn't fucking read the contract.
Yeah,
he's very, the boyfriend of Jack, I can't remember his name. Jack is very clearly acting in his own best interests, not Henry's.
No, but if you're like, I'm a manager and my job is to like make money for the person I'm managing, he was doing a good job as a manager.
But the thing that I don't know though, because I think the manager's job is to represent their client, which is Henry here, and he was not representing Henry in that particular case. I think that is an element of being a good manager, is that you're maximizing the salary of your player, but you also have to take into consideration what the player wants. And we found out later on that Henry didn't even want to play baseball,
as Mike knows.
But I mean, that point is taken. I want to say on the subject of that character though, is that I think that his introduction into the movie, where he's like, it's our 3-week anniversary, this is the necklace anniversary, then he puts it on her and whatnot, and it's just like total yeah, I mean, that is
that's one of my favorite scenes too.
So yeah,
I like his shirt in that scene. That's a real weird.
He has some nice silk shirts.
Yeah,
that dude and his like Seinfeld style haircut too. Like what? But you keep saying like he's a manager. That's what's funny. Like he's not a manager. He just kind of comes in.
He says that when he's first talking to Dan Hedaya about it, he's like, well, he needs a manager. If you're going to be the manager, he's like, yeah, sure. I'll get the mom.
Yeah, I know, but like he has no experience being a manager of anything. He just comes in.
Let me tell you something. As someone who has had to deal with people that are managers professionally, there are no fucking qualifications. If you go to business school, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Anyone I know that is a manager and you're like, hey, how'd you get into this? They're like, I don't know. I knew people that actually had talent and I wanted to help them make money. And so I fucking wheeled and dealed. And I'm like that kind of personality. In my experience, that is how people become managers. They know someone who isn't going to be good at money stuff. And they're like, well,
but I guess part of my point is like, what the fuck is he before he decides he's going to be this kid's manager?
It doesn't matter. My point is it doesn't matter.
That's funny. Like, we don't even know what he is. He's just some like slimy guy with a Mazda Miata.
Yeah.
Trying to.
Well, when they do a prequel in a few years, it'll really get into the nitty gritty of his whole backstory, and we can really.
Well, we were also talking about, you didn't see much of Henry, although until he showed up in American Pie 5 years later. Although he was in that one movie where he was like a knight. Anyway.
Well,
doesn't matter.
I did on this. What this is. It does make me think of another scene in the movie though. It's like when they're all at like the nightclub and they're like, dancing or not, and then it's like they have like a junior high school slow dance song that comes on. I thought that was
okay. When they first cut to the club, it's a really good segue where he turns the radio and it's the music from the club, and they cut to the club. I thought, because that music is so funny, that they had the guy who did the horrible, boring, shitty score do fake dance music, but it's not. I love to read the song credits. It's a real song that, like, now that I've heard the whole song, I would like play it on the radio. It's a great song. I'm probably gonna buy the record. And then the slow dance song is also a real, like, actual legit slow dance song by a lady who goes by Ndia, like N''DEA. But I love that scene because so many scenes where they go to the club, it looks really like stupid and like not cool. And I'm like, this is cool. I would go to that club.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, and then the best part of the club is when Daniel Stern is like, I got it. Everything's free. And it shows the two women and there's like an implication. And then he's like, hello, excuse me. And then they want to get to the pinball machine. That's great. One of my favorite parts.
Indeed, but I think I want to just point out that it's been months since we've talked about Little Big League, and I think it would have been better if we had actually done them both at the same time.
I would have agreed with more.
You think what?
I don't think Little Big League is bad. I also had a good time watching Little Big League. I just thought it kind of like sagged with all the mom fan stuff. This one kept that to a bare minimum and had more retarded shit, which is what I want out of a dumb kids movie.
Well, there is lots of that. That's true. Yeah, there wasn't, the other thing we talked about was like, I guess now this entire discussion is like just going to be, it's like a certain way.
Well, our discussion, it can be whatever we want it to be.
Yeah. What do you want to do? Redirect. Please feel free, do a redirect. Isn't that a thing they do in court? Your Honor, can I redirect? I'd like to redirect a witness, Your Honor.
The lead boy characters, the character development of the lead is sorely lacking in Rookie of the Year, right? Doesn't exist in Rookie of the Year and does exist in Little Big League.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not that's good or bad, I mean, that gets back to this now.
Yeah,
well, the thing it reminds me of is my whenever people talk about that, like, well, the character didn't grow or learn anything, I think of the fact that Stanley Kubrick omits the last chapter of Clockwork Orange for the movie, and that Anthony Burgess hated it because of that, because he was like, oh my God, like the guy never learns anything if you don't do that. And it's like, yeah, that was the point of the movie. It's a more nihilistic outlook. He didn't want to end the movie being like, and the guy learned to not be bad. Because it's like, who the fuck needs that? I don't need some moralistic hand holding to teach me a lesson. This isn't like Rudyard Kipling or Aesop's Fables. This is a dumb kid.
About whether you need it. It's about it's an artistic choice, which in that case, that was somebody trying to be, subversive. That's not the point of a movie like Little Big League or Rookie of the Year, to be subversive. It's to be the opposite of that. It's to be completely sort of reinforcing and comforting around traditional Western values.
It can be, but I think what you're saying, and we both agree that Rookie of the Year is failing to do that as well as Little Big League. I would agree with you, but I think
Little Big League doesn't fail.
I think when it comes to success, Little Big League is a home run.
So there it is.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, but to me, a perfect kids movie is like a barely cohesive series of absurd comic vignettes. And this is close. And I don't want any family values to muddy the waters. I just want basically a borderline sketch comedy movie. And this is much closer to that than Little Big League, which I agree with you, has a more cohesive theme.
Yeah. There's no substance. So right, you're right. Sometimes you want just something. I mean, I agree with. I like stuff that has no substance and that is just chaos. But if I'm gonna go for that kind of entertainment, I probably wouldn't pull Rookie of the Year off the shelf.
I mean, if we weren't doing the podcast, I wouldn't pull Rookie of the Year off the shelf.
Sure. Very true. But the initial motivation behind doing this pair of movies was like, hey, these were the big movies. Like when we were boys that age. Everybody fucking was talking about Rookie of the Year and then Little Big League because, it's baseball and they had real baseball teams. And, it was very exciting to be a 9-year-old kid and think about another 9-year-old kid getting some special arm bullshit that let him throw the ball fast. Yeah, that sort of like completely bewildered awestruck expression that young man has on his face, man, it's tough. He's not the most obnoxious kid that's ever shown up in a movie like this, but
no, he's just kind of whatever. He's a little bland.
Whatever. He's a little pussy.
Funny when you look at pictures of him later, like if you look at his IMDb profile picture, I was like, oh, this is kind of a Turco guy. And then I kind of saw the Turco of him at that young age in a way I wouldn't have if I hadn't seen a later More
Turco, yeah, he is. Turco's an old friend of ours. That he does resemble Turco in a lot of important respects. And I think Turco would speak that language very well. You know, of just just kind of goofy, stupid. I don't think
that part isn't very Turco.
I
think the most Turco part is the kind of like autistic obliviousness to like the imposition he is to the other players, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, the obnoxious bullshit. Like none of the stuff where he's like telling his mom, "I love you." None of that is Turco. Like, Turco never does that. But yeah, the rest of it.
Let's talk about another one of my favorite scenes is the first time he's getting changed in the locker room and they have those long
Yeah, we got a moment.
Tie it up, guys.
Yep.
What do you guys think? What emotion are we supposed to feel him experiencing that? Because I honestly wasn't sure.
That's doing a number of things, right? So first of all, it's blatantly drawing attention to, you know, penises, the idea of looking at penises, which is like, that's number one, you know, thing to notice. And then also it's like teaching little boys to be acutely aware of the small size of their penis relative to the big man.
So you think it was a penis inferiority thing? Because it also, he's still kind of doing his awestruck mouth agape thing, like he's just in awe of their like athletic physique, but they're fucking dumpy baseball guys, so that doesn't really make sense.
So it's I think it could be argued that that's what they're doing, that it's like the athletic physique, but he's looking right down directly at the penises. Like there's nothing else.
But they don't ham it up. There isn't like a bulge or anything. It's just normal.
They can't show that. They can't show that. That's like Daniel Stern, you know, chain smoking in the editing room, like, you know, like this is like, we're gonna do this penis stuff because these old white men secretly want to do illicit sexual stuff with little boys, and so they want to introduce that juxtaposition.
So you think it's predictive programming from Hollywood child molesters is what you're saying?
Well, I want to just go back to when I was watching this, like Rookie of the Year, around the age when it came out, when I was like 9-10 years old watching it. No, I'm just like, it's a movie like this you watch several times, and that's not a scene that I recall, but watching, and I think that if I was watching that movie, or when I was watching that movie originally, I think that what was going on in that scene just wouldn't have registered, because when I was like 10 years old and like I would like be in a locker room with the YMCA or whatnot, I would not be thinking to myself like, how big are the penises on the other men in here? Is not what I'd be thinking about. So
you think it's like it's a joke for the parents taking the kids to the movie. It's like a mature.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that definitely is like an adult joke in there.
I'm trying to think,
if you're 9 years old, you're not going to be really thinking about that.
I don't think that's true for me, Mike. I'm trying to remember if I looked at.
Wow, I'm really shocked that Evan was more fixated on adults.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, this is. Imagine that. Yeah, well, you know me, guys. You know how I am. Yeah, no, I don't remember how I registered the scene as a kid, and I'm pretty sure that in the locker rooms, I mean, I'm still this way where it's like, damn, I'm looking, dude, I want to see. Well, not just because of the size, but it's just like you don't get to see that except in the locker room. It's the
diversity of life, the beauty of the many flowers of the world.
I want to experience this shit. Show me what you got.
The totality of nature's beauty.
Yeah. I want to point out one thing about that scene again, though, is that all of the players were wearing like boxers at the time, so it's like it's pretty obvious like what's going on, but it is subtle enough where if you're 10 years old, you're not going to pick up on what's going on.
Which of those players do you think was hung lowest?
Gary Busey.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think Gary Busey's a guy with probably like a red acorn penis.
Well, that's after his motorcycle accident was when his long dick got caught in the spokes of his motorcycle.
Now he happened.
Pre-motorcycle accident, he was really long, but now he has a nub from the motorcycle accident.
Exactly.
Is that true? Yeah,
it is true. It was on the front page.
He did have a serious traumatic motorcycle accident. Yeah,
and it did involve getting his penis ripped off, and showed the penis on the New York Times front page.
Yeah.
I think Daniel Stern has the longest penis because you can just kind of tell, like just from my locker room research, it's always like the lanky, goofy, like shitty, unappealing guy. Yeah, totally. You're the perfect guy. Actually, both you guys are the kinds of guys, but it's not a good thing, right? It's the kind of guy where
everybody hates big dicks. If
Well,
there's one thing I've learned in the world is that everyone hates big dicks.
Everybody thinks a big dick is great, and then like they always land on the guys where it's like, oh man, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just sort of, it's I'm trying to think of like who is a good example of like dicks we've all seen, which isn't that many, sadly.
Well, in pornography.
Well, there's Ben Affleck
Right.
and Gone Girl.
Porn stars are good examples, I guess, because they're like otherwise unappealing dudes who happen to have large penises. But anyway, we're getting off on a tangent. By the way, speaking of the locker room penis thing, I have been recently starting to go back to the gym, trying to get back down to my normal size. And so I've been spending more time in the locker room. And I've been reminded of this thing that I was acutely aware of long ago, but there seems to be a sort of kind of guy that goes to the gym and pretty much just wants to hang out in the locker room. And they spend like 10, 15, 20 minutes at a crack, just sort of like walking around naked, and they bring all their shit, they're brushing their teeth and they've got like all the fucking shaving shit going on, and they're just hanging out, and they're often older, and they leave these big sloppy butt prints on the bench. You know what I'm saying? You guys don't know what I'm talking about because you don't go to the gym.
I have gone to Planet Fitness in my life, and I was in the locker room for the bare minimum amount of time.
That's right.
And I'm very good at making anyone who's trying to hang out in the gym not hang out with me, because I'm never trying to socialize with strangers.
Yeah, no. Well, when the times I have gone to the gym, it's like I'll just like shower at home.
Yeah, never showered at the gym ever.
Yeah.
I'm not saying in the shower. I'm just saying like you gotta change in the locker room. Like, you got the lockers, and then
I take the corner locker that keeps my periphery clear. I change very quickly. I immediately leave. I make no eye contact.
Well, I guess it depends on when you're like how you fit that into your daily routine. Because whenever I go to the gym, it'd be after work, so I just like wear my gym clothes to the gym, then go home. So
I also do that.
Guess what I'm saying is I'm one of those guys who likes to hang out in the locker room and show.
Again, shocking.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it, guys. This has been a great episode.
I haven't even started on my notes.
So I think I want to say, like, Adam, I just appreciate that you have notes here, because sometimes it's like when there's the lull, we can always fall back on the notes. Like
before we move on, I had one more thing related to child sex stuff in the movie, which is, of course, I'm sure we all have it on our minds, when he's doing the Pepsi commercial and the director says, like, "Can you be more sexy?" And then it just cuts to the next scene. I was like, oh God, please show that kid be more sexy for the Pepsi ad.
It doesn't cut to the next scene. He says, how much longer is this going to take? But I do remember that was one of the most like talked about scenes in grade school when that movie came out. And also, Adam always takes notes, and there's nothing wrong with a lull. I think a lull is good. We all need to get a little bit more.
You know what? Let's have a lull. Let's just have a lull.
Let's have a moment of silence for all the actors whose careers died when Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. The moment of silence cannot be longer than 5 seconds long.
No, it can be as long as we want.
It depends on how much you want to honor the actors. If you want to disrespect them, it's only 5 seconds. If you really want to honor them, we'll give a full 24 hours of silence.
This entire progression is making it clear to me that, like, I don't think lulls are much of a concern on this little thing that we do. Which, by the way,
it's just for us. I invented YouTube to trick you into thinking anyone else watches this.
Mike, Mike and I have been doing this now for
almost 6, coming up on 7 years. Yeah, I started in 2015. Because early 20.
You're one of the first podcasts.
Yeah, early. I know that Jack and Jill was the first one that we did. I want to just jump real quick to something you mentioned here about Clockwork Orange, because I've seen the movie. I have not read the book. I know at the very end of the movie, Malcolm McDowell is in the full, is in the full body cast, and like he's having his like sex thoughts again. But you're saying
I was cured all right. That's what he says.
Yeah, but then like in the book, are you saying that like it ends where like he decides to straighten his life around?
Yeah, in the book, he runs into another one of his old buddies who then like beats him up again. And he's like, man, this sucks. Why did we ever do this? I guess I'll stop being a little piece of shit. And then the book ends.
Well, maybe, yeah.
What's the big deal? What do those guys do? Do they kill anybody, or they just
do, yeah.
Oh, they do kill people.
Yeah, because I think he kills somebody with a giant penis statue.
Okay, yeah, right.
Then-
My brother and I watched that.
And then they rape the wife in front of the handicapped guy.
Right. Nick and I popped that in. My dad, it was one of the million movies my dad taped off HBO when VCRs came out, because he was afraid the movies would never come on again, and he would have no other means to see them, because in those days you could like tape shit, you could buy blank tapes, but you couldn't buy a lot of movies, right? Like if a movie came out on tape, it was like $100.
He was doing the right thing. What he was preparing for was true for a decent period of years.
He was doing the right thing. So we just had boxes and boxes of tapes, and Nick and I pulled out Clockwork Orange. And I think we watched it like at an age when it was just so fucked up, and it was like all grainy and shit like that. But like we watched and I don't think I made it to the end. So I don't even know.
Do you remember, did Pete Sengstock ever dress up as a Clockwork Orange guy? I feel like that.
Yes, and Charlie Chaplin, and
I don't care about any of the others. I just like I like thinking about that movie and like what a huge deal it was and what it's about, and then thinking about Pete Sengstock dressing up as one of the guys from.
Who would you rather sit next to on a plane to Seattle, Adam? Pete Sengstock or Malcolm Moore?
Oh God.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I'd probably take Malcolm.
I mean, no, it's not that tough, but it's just the lesser of two evils is still pretty extreme. It'd be Pete Sengstock.
For you, it's Pete. Pete's pretty bad in my view. If he ever hears this,
yeah, but I spent less time around him, so he wouldn't push it as much.
No, man, he would something about that. No, it's like fuck. I'm trying to remember. Well, I mean, we all know like my favorite Pete stories. My two favorite Pete stories are when, he was spanking Ellie, who was, I guess, his girlfriend, while she was fondling or doing something to Phil Burke. I saw that shit. And the other favorite, my top favorite, is when we were all over at Turco's house, and we were going to watch. I think we're going to watch Three Ninjas, High Noon, and Mega Mountain, and you had that you had that cute little tape recorder that you were using.
I had a very large Bell and Howell tape recorder from the 1970s.
Mr. Movie Maniac would come over with his Integrity Boy tape recorder, and we were going to watch. And I made the joke that and I successfully delivered it and fooled everybody into thinking that Pete had texted me and I had invited him and Ellie to come over. And Adam, like without even thinking, just promptly began to pack up his tape recorder. And it's just like, I'll see you guys later. Reflexive, like I can't be here.
Yeah, that's why I'm alive. I have good primal instincts.
That's right.
That's why I died at an early age.
I'm hanging by a thread. I took too many hits from that guy and others.
So I'm going to go to my notes.
Okay. I like the tangents better, but we can talk about this.
Oh, I mean, my first note is a tangent. So there's a split-second shot in the opening montage where they're stocking merchandise at Wrigley Field, and there's a fucking Cubs troll toy. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And then I was thinking about troll toys, and I was like, that was such a fucking funny, stupid 90s shit. And then I was like, are Funko Pops now to what now is what trolls were then, where you're just like, look at this dumb shit. Why does anybody care about this? And some people are like, well, I gotta collect the trolls. I got the Cubs troll. I got the Yankees.
Wait. What's a Funko Pop?
Google it. Just Google it, and it'll be easier for you to see an example and know that you have seen it if you've been in the world. They're dumb archetypal figurines that are done of popular culture stuff. And they look like shit, and they're just arbitrarily collectible.
Oh, you don't mean those like I think I know what you're talking about.
Big heads,
They're just I think that I thought they were just called like pops.
Funko Pop. I believe it's the name of the
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But yeah,
So-
just thinking about trolls being like, and then wondering like, do they manufacture new trolls still? Is the Trolls company still producing merchandise? Is that over?
Yeah, that is a good question. I do remember the trolls there. I don't remember them being as big as Beanie Babies as far as
Yeah, but Beanie Babies was shorter. Trolls was longer, but it never reached the peak of Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies were like the original Bitcoin, if you think about it. NFT.
But
Oh,
then
Beanie
like,
Babies, I mean, like
Yeah.
you could buy anything with Beanie Babies. I mean, like
Well, some Beanie Babies, yeah. Well, we talked about this on the subject of the merchandise. I actually did point this out with Evan, and I rewound the movie to point it out because there were the early scenes where you have the game day, everyone getting their tickets together, walking to the ballpark and whatnot, and they showed some of the t-shirts they had in the stand, which was actually just a beautiful display of like 90s t-shirt style, which of course.
Yeah, one of my notes is that like all of those just like B-roll crowd shots have like way more like 90s-ness packed into them than your average crowd shot in a movie. Like there's a lot of like neon hats and like there's just like a lot of little details where I was like, this is like a lot of those are usually totally forgettable and you can tell what decade it is, but I was like, this is really getting a lot of 90s-ness in every little frame of those quick crowd shots.
Yeah, they did a good job with that, and yeah, for sure. And I will point out, just to get some sports things, as one of the teams they played was the Montreal Expos.
Oh yes, that's the only baseball team I've ever been to their stadium, but when they still existed.
Yeah, now that
my family would be like, "Let's go to a baseball game." Adam, you want to go to a baseball game, right? And I was like, "Yes, I sure do." No, I was like, "I guess I'll fucking go."
But then you were there. You got your Cracker Jack. You got your scorebook, and you were just filling it out the entire time.
I definitely ate the food. I definitely ate a lot of hot dogs and drank a lot of soda.
Do you remember how much the hot dogs cost?
And then I did like the kid in the locker room at the urinals at the French Canadian Dicks at the Expo Stadium. Yeah. Oh, another note related to my personal baseball history, which was the one summer my parents forced me to try playing t-ball. I was horrible and I hated it. And I only did the one season, but like how bad Harry, whatever the kid at the start is, that kid is worse than me as a guy who is horrible and hated it in that opening scene where he's just fucking up, where he like spins around and throws the ball.
Talked about that. I mean, that's what I mean. Like the movie it's actually amazing. Like you could take the most, to use an Adam term, retarded penis boy, like made for TV.
We all know I invented that term.
Adam likes to say things are retarded. I don't, but there you could take the dumbest fucking movie we've ever watched, and this is on par with it. There are moments in Rookie of the Year that are so inexplicably stupid, and that is a perfect example. Also, side note on that one, I pointed out, for some reason, like Henry is not wearing baseball pants. Whereas all the other kids on the team are wearing normal baseball athletic pants, and he's wearing just jeans, which I think has something to do with some kind of like genital problem.
Yeah,
I think
two giant penis won't fit in the baseball pants.
You guys should turn a light on over there. It looks like you guys are just fading into the
dark. We're in the
dark.
gloomy Pacific Northwest, and it's already dark at 3:25.
My next note that we haven't gotten to yet is another one of my favorite scenes, which I had totally forgotten about, which is when they're in the cafeteria at school lusting after the babes that they take on the boat later. Yeah. And then the Evan guy, it says, "Look at her sipping that milk. Milk's done that body good."
That is something that I say all the time, except, I also make more explicit reference to the metaphorical relationship between milk and cum, which I think that
because babies drink milk to make cum.
Exactly.
Circle of life.
Exactly, and that's what Fat Evan, the character in the movie, was thinking about.
But just the idea of being in the cafeteria, being like, "Look at her sipping that milk."
She's stacked. Yeah. That's another funny thing, like boys used to say about girls. in the 90s. Did you see her, dude? She's stacked, man. That was the thing in like the 90s. And then like in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was more about the thongs. Girls started wearing thongs.
Yeah.
And giving
You
inappropriate.
don't think girls were wearing thongs before the late 90s?
Not nowhere near as much, dude. It was not the thing. It was not as much. Come on. Not that I would know.
Come on.
Because we were too young in the 90s.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, well, yeah.
Mike, what's your like? How do you feel about like thongs and all that? Don't worry.
I guess
I'll tell you right now, I'm anti-thong.
I might be kind of dense here, but I guess I just don't understand the question. Because it's kind of like you're asking, like, how do I feel about underwear? It's like, well, I mean, people wear it.
Evan is fishing for you to make any kind of sexualized remark, is what
No,
Evan
I'm
is.
not.
Yeah.
I took it back and I canceled it.
Yeah,
And I'm ashamed for having asked the
yeah,
question.
people want to wear a thong, they can wear a thong.
You know, it's their choice.
Yeah,
if a girl wants to wear a thong, it's fine. Anyway, we talked about how the girl in question is also the goalie in Mighty Ducks 2. Does a great job in that.
Oh, I did not make that connection.
Yeah.
I don't really like her, and I don't get her as like the apex babe. I think her friend she's always with is more of a babe than she is.
Her friend has a funny voice. She's almost as if she's from, I guess they are in
My
Illinois.
kind of girl.
You like that girl. Interesting. Why? Like to me, that girl looks more generic.
It's not really how she looks. They both look like a Sims character. They both look like a hyper realistic rendered generic Sims character. But the other girl, just like the way they have her dress and talk, she's a little more zany. The main girl is just kind of like, hi, yeah, I'm nice. And the other girl is a little more zany.
I don't remember being particularly enthusiastic about any of them as a kid. I do remember that there's always like, there's those movies, you know, the kid movies, and there's the girl, you know, a girl that you have to crush on. And I'm trying to remember like who was my biggest like 10-year-old actress crush.
Oh, it's easy.
I know what it is for you.
Do you?
No.
You said you knew.
Chloe Sevigny.
No, that's later. When I was like 9 years old, what Chloe Sevigny movie was I watching?
I don't know the girl's name, but she's in like a ton of shit.
So we're talking like more like a child actor? Or
I thought we were talking about like pre-puberty.
This is pre-puberty romantic crush.
Yeah.
I don't know any of the names. I really like the dark-haired girl who's in a ton of stuff, who's like also in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
I mean, Christina Applegate?
No. The young one. The we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Isn't she also
she's in horror movies and stuff.
No, I mean for me, it begins and ends with Winona Ryder from Tim Burton movies.
She's too old. You'd have to go lower. You'd have to go to like what's the other one? What's the other one from Mermaid?
Christina and Addams Family for your goth babe pre-puberty.
Winona Ryder and why can't I think of her name? What's her name from the Addams Family? Christina Ricci, who is also in Bucky Larson, Child Star.
That's right.
One of the first things that we reviewed. And if I could pick a movie that's harder to watch than Rookie of the Year, that one might actually beat out.
Wow.
That was
Watch again.
Dude, Bucky Larson is so fucked up, man.
Yeah, Daniel's
How about Bucky Larson versus Grandma's Boy?
I don't think I've seen Grandma's Boy.
Really? I thought you were at the legendary Shane Trick screening.
I was excluded from that. You guys didn't invite me.
I wasn't there either. I've just heard of it.
Wait, Adam, how do you feel about Grandma's Boy? Because it seems like Grandma's Boy is a generally universally beloved movie.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I would say I'm kind of on the Shane side of Grandma's Boy, where just like in this discussion about Rookie of the Year versus Little Big League, any criticism of Grandma's Boy is not assuming that the best case scenario for a comedic movie is like a barely cohesive stream of absurd vignettes, which is exactly what Grandma's Boy is. And Grandma's Boy isn't all good, but the good parts of Grandma's Boy I still think about all the time. I will say, I think we can all agree when he's jacking off to the Barbie in the bathroom and the mom comes in and can't stop coming, that's one of the things in history of recorded.
Yeah,
I definitely didn't see that because I would remember that.
It's a really funny because he's like got the Barbie on top of the toilet and he's like flipping her around and playing with her dress, and then his mom comes in right as he's coming and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I can't stop coming."
Yeah, well, you know how it is. Once you open up that faucet, sometimes it just doesn't stop.
But then also there's the guy that is me in Grandma's Boy, the guy that listens to Aphex Twin, has a trench coat, and is riding around in the Segway. That guy's also very funny.
We haven't had any like heavy social commentary as a result of this movie. Do we want to talk about things that are going to make me?
Let me see. I might have. Let me just skim my notes for anything related to that.
We need to talk about race. There weren't. I don't remember any black players on the team.
well, the manager.
The manager was black, so it was almost as if Daniel Stern was trying to be goofy and like have it be opposite day or something like that. Because
oh yeah, this isn't necessarily social commentary, but another thing I wanted to get you guys' opinion on is when he has lost his magic arm in the last inning, and they're resorting to the same kind of hijinks they do in Little Big League.
Yeah,
and he's baiting the pitcher. This is before that. When he's antagonizing the pitcher, and he says like, "We want a pitcher, not an underwear snitcher." What the fuck is that even supposed to be?
That's what I'm talking about. Like that's good in the sense of like if the intention is to make people like incredibly irritated and uncomfortable. But
I would say my least favorite like recurring gag in the movie, which they clearly thought was going to be a really funny thing people quote from the movie, which is not at all, is all the like, "Get some stinky cheese on that pitch." They do that so many times. This wasn't funny the first time. And throwaway lines like, "funky butt loving," which are said once, are way more memorable and
that
funny.
should have been said every other scene.
Well, you don't want to overdo it with that. So that's the thing. Well, that final scene when after Henry loses his arm strength, which of course it's appropriate that the trips on the ball, and that's what gives him the superpower, and then it falls. That's what takes it away. The final scene, or that final inning where he's pitching, that is where I think the movie did become a bit too unbelievable. That it's like we have no choice. We have no other pitchers on the team. We have no choice but to leave this 11-year-old out here to finish.
But I don't even remember, why did they end up doing that shit in Little Big League? They do the same shit in Little Big League. What is the reason in Little Big League?
So that one for Little Big League, that was like one specific play that they had been planning for the entire for that specific moment. And if that didn't work, then they just would have kept on playing.
And they were trying to have we're going to have a little fun. Remember, like,
it was about reinvigorating the fun of the sport.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, okay. That's another thing I really want to talk about. So of the many things that Rookie of the Year does, which then Little Big League does, which you guys in many ways are right, the Little Big League does it better, is the project, the ongoing project, which he gets in trouble with his friends for, is building a boat. They go out to the woods and assemble a boat as like 8-year-old boys.
I like that too. It's a secret Chicago woods boat. So it's like little boys in Chicago have a boat in the woods and nobody else can find it.
Their dad gives him an engine to lug out there in a Red Ryder wagon or whatever the fuck. But I will say, I was like, what the fuck? Why like that? In that way, Little Big League makes so much more sense. Yeah, we're gonna go fucking fishing by the stream. Then like, come on, we're building a boat together. Isn't this what we want to do? But when they build the boat and they go out and they have that song, which I had to look up. I love that song. I love the montage of them fucking around in the boat. They have that big bag of snacks.
I like that.
Babes. Everyone's got their arm around a babe.
They have a huge bag of like good real snacks that are clearly just there for the product placement, but they never eat the chips. I would love to see them kind of pull off and like have a nice little picnic.
I'm sure they did, but at that point they were all naked, so they couldn't show it in the movie.
But can we agree, like the guy? I mean, like the movie is the product of just like drugs and bad decision making. Like
no, the movie is a product of free creativity, unsuppressed. By mechanical values imposing on it.
We also talked about, I like that you brought up the whole fishing and boat thing. Yeah, I think the more we think about it, like Mike's theory is absolutely correct. Like Little Big League saw Rookie of the Year and said, we can do this better and we won't have to pay $1 million to hire like Gary Busey and John Candy to be in the movie. We're going to hire this other dumb redheaded dude to do it, and John Silver.
What I'm saying is, another way to say it is like they were like, hey, this movie's kind of all over the place. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. Let's just streamline it into something more normal and boring and get worse actors. And you guys are like, yes, movie.
They aren't worse actors though. They're so much better.
Yeah, that fucking Wiener and the mom in Little Big League.
They're less known. They're less well known, but they do a better job of acting in the movie. In all honesty, dude, okay, you really think the kid who plays Henry is a better actor?
Both the main kids are bad. Both the main kids are bad. Both main kids are bad. I'm not going to defend it.
But one's significantly worse than the other. And Gary Busey is a worse actor than that other dipshit, even though I would much rather.
That's crazy.
I would much rather.
I don't know. I think that let's not forget that Little Big League has Dennis Farina in it, and I think he's.
And that's so funny because this is the Chicago one. You got fucking deep dish Farina. You're not going to put him in the Chicago one.
Who is Dennis Farina?
Dennis Farina. He was the original manager who got.
Yeah, that guy's good.
Well, so hold on a second. I want to just pull up a couple things for the sake of comparison. So on IMDb. Little Big League got a 6.2 out of 10. Who cares about that? But I think, listen, what it really comes down to is that Little Big League made $12 million at the box office, and Rookie of the Year made $56.5 million.
Yeah, but that's again because
Rookie didn't make significantly more. Probably had a bit more. Probably helped having a bit more name recognition with the Chicago Cubs versus the Minnesota.
I want to know what the net profits were, because I'm sure they spent $100 million to make Rookie of the Year just to pay for John Candy's catering.
I don't think
John Candy did it uncredited. John Candy did it because he loves the Chicago Cubs.
I think that Independence Day cost $100 million to make. I don't think
yeah, dude, I remember it was like 1994. Those were the big ones, man. It was like Titanic, which and Little Big League or Rookie of the Year, Independence Day were the most expensive movies of all time.
I think it is undeniable though that in terms of popularity that that Rookie of the Year
that resonates with what I recall.
Yeah,
in those days.
Because I mean the thing is that Little Big League is just more for the connoisseurs.
That's right. That's right. It's a fine wine. It's fine wine.
Little Big League is for the junkies that just need a little more of that dirty product in their baseball pit.
It's our house. It's like the Terrence Malick.
Okay, Mike and Adam. It's 1994. Rookie of the Year is out on video. Little Big League's in the theater. How much of your allowance are you spending on baseball cards?
Never bought one in my life.
You never bought baseball cards?
I bought X-Files trading cards. I bought Spider-Man trading cards, but never.
Well, hold on a second here.
Mike's going over to his shrine. And
I have
gonna pull out
1988 baseball cards here.
Those have gum in them?
I think I'm pretty sure these actually do have some base player cards and trivia cards. They have photo quality on this as well. I do have some T2 cards, although I don't know where they went.
Yeah, so I collected Terminator 2 cards, X-Men cards, baseball. I liked it all. Baseball cards were cool because they were just actually I take that back. Baseball cards were not that cool. The only reason I bought baseball cards is because I like to trade cards.
A businessman.
I'm a businessman. That's right. Get a little action. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, I just want to say on the podcast, the song in the boat montage, which I had to look up because I really liked it, is by Mike and the Mechanics, and it's called "Get Up." And I think that's what we should play at the end of the podcast because it's a good song.
Oh, that I actually happy that you brought that up because I heard that song too. And at first I thought that was something like the Bill Conti score.
Me too. And I was like, wow, did Bill Conti pick it up here? But of course, the two good pieces of music were actual licensed music, not Bill Conti.
Yeah, and I'll say, I will say that there are some Mike and the Mechanic songs that I genuinely like and kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
So that was a good one because I had a hard time pacing it because it sounded like a combination of like Glenn Frey like the heat is on, kind of like a different version of
what you're hearing is like a lot of cocaine in a recording studio between Glenn Frey and Mike and the Mechanics. There's just a lot of like white men in sunny places doing cocaine in an expensive recording studio and having great ideas, just like Rookie of the Year.
Sounds good to me. We didn't resolve the issue why there are no black players on the team on the Chicago Cubs.
Well,
it's only big, hairy, stinky white guys. And they wear tighty whities. There's just a lot of big dumb man stuff in the movie too, which is kind of funny, I guess.
And in terms of the casting, so when they play the Dodgers and then Henry's batting, like the pitcher for that team looked like a 57-year-old production assistant, and like not an actual baseball player. So I don't think they actually cast any. I mean, outside of the short montage, and they had, like Barry Bonds on there. I think it was just like,
they had Barry Bonds. They had a couple real minority baseball players, like Barry Bonds and whoever that guy is from the Mets.
Bobby Bonilla.
Yes, Bobby Bonilla. But yeah, no actors like in Little Big League, where you had Mickey Scales and Lonnie, and Jerry Jones. Right. But
Ken Griffey was the real player.
No, but I'm talking about the fake players.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other thing is I'm thinking about, if I recall, and we don't have any women on the show to corroborate this, but when you were a kid that age, it wasn't as if like, okay, we're going to have like Rookie of the Year be the movie for boys, and then we're going to have an equivalent movie for girls. Rookie of the Year was for the boys and the girls. Both watched it and liked it. No?
I don't know. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm going to say I'm not confident that is correct.
Can you think of the equivalent girl movie? Because I guess the point I'm trying to make is that like
Now and Then, I don't fucking know.
Now and Then, that came out in like 1996, dude. That was way later.
You didn't say from the same year. I'm not trying to say
Now and Then is not for girls. Now and Then is for boys and girls. So that movie was like
I'm not sure about that. I thought that like Now and Then was more geared towards girls.
My brother and I rented that many times.
Yeah,
we enjoyed
it. Well, you also watched Traveling Pants and the Yaya His Sisterhood or whatever, which is definitely for girls.
We also got some dirty looks when we started laughing when the girl with epilepsy peed her pants. Anyway, that is beside the point. Now and Then,
I think it's kind of the point. The point is that you and your brother are very open-minded, egalitarian men who approach all art without the bias of gender.
what I'm saying is that any of that is bullshit. Like, we should all just be enjoying all the movies. Just, Rookie of the Year is for the gals, just like Now and Then is for the fellas.
Yeah, I know. I think from the era, if there's a sports movie that would be, for boys and girls, it'd probably be Mighty Ducks.
True.
Or A League of Their Own.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, League of Their Own was more of an adult movie, though.
But but you can enjoy it as a kid. That is the best baseball movie ever. I'm gonna go ahead and go on.
League of Their Own.
Yeah, that's the best baseball movie.
Fair opinion.
What about Night Game with Roy Scheider?
Yeah.
No, it's A League of Their Own, and the best football movie ever.
The Last.
But wait, no, isn't it baseball and The Fan? Isn't Wesley Snipes a baseball player?
Yes, that's good too.
That's my favorite baseball movie.
That's a good movie. I mean, anyway, so we've talked about race, we've talked about gender. This whole discussion of like the ladies and the fellas reminds me of this funny thing last night where, so like, I'm like visiting Seattle, and it's like coming back to a planet where you like were used to live and
where you used to be a god.
And my little Seattle has turned into some grotesque monster. And everything's a little different, or at least that's how I'm experiencing it.
Yeah.
And so we're at the hockey game, right? Which is like the bougie is the word of the week, where it's like it's the bougiest stadium and the bougiest hockey team. And these are all like millionaire, software developers who are coming to the game. And it's at the Climate Pledge Arena, which is the most sustainable sports arena that you could find.
I will chime in real quick and say that their concession setup is interesting, where if you get a souvenir cup, right, you get free refills. That part is standard. But what they have is they have fountains, like soda fountains. They're just like all throughout the concourses. So as long as you have the cup, you can just go up there and refill it. You don't have to like wait in line. You can just like literally be like run down and grab some. And
You
they
just
have
put your hands up.
Yeah, you could do that if you want.
Yeah,
you can have they also have Diet Mountain Dew on tap.
Yeah, Mike was able to consume multiple large cups of Diet
I
Mountain
had
Dew.
2 of them. Yes, it was good. I did that. Yeah.
Oh my!
What'd you say? You cut out.
I said I know Mike's style. I know how Mike rolls.
Big
He
cup.
rolls. He rolls fluidly.
Yeah. I do sometimes wonder about like what the long-term effects of that might be having on my digestive tract.
Living long, prospering. That's what the long-term.
Yeah.
So there was an activity toward the end of the game where they're trying to get the crowd engaged and they're like shouting and they have the 2 jumbotrons.
Yeah.
And it's like, everybody make some noise. They're trying to get you to make noise. And they said, let's hear from the fellas. And now the ladies. And Mike and I both agreed that we were surprised that actually happened at that game, at this time in this city. And that in itself, I think, is funny and scary. That we were shocked that they use non-neutral terms to engage the crowd.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, they know that sports is for rednecks, and rednecks are conservative Republicans who are opposed to non-traditional.
I would be willing to bet that of the 10,000 people in attendance, there were probably 100 Republicans tops.
Joke.
Yeah.
What would you? So first of all, what's the attendance? What's the capacity of that stadium? I know
I think the attendance there was like 17,000, 18,000 people there.
Oh wow.
So I mean, I think so. I'll say this with in terms of the Republicans being there. If we went into the political makeup of the crowd, I think it would probably be higher than you might think.
Oh.
On that one for a couple of reasons. As you know, that the tickets are pretty expensive, so I think it's going to draw in a bit more affluent crowd. It's going to skew a bit more conservative. Now,
even in Seattle.
So the thing is that I don't think that isn't necessarily everybody at the game is from Seattle. So you probably have people coming in from
That's true.
from the east side from Bellevue, which is still skews definitely to the left, but you're going to probably have some more Republicans. Now I would guess if you were to like have everybody like vote and give their voting record from the 2020 election, I would guess it would probably be like 80 to 85% Biden.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas, so it'd probably be like maybe 5% more conservative. I do know that Seahawks games, on the other hand, are going to definitely skew way more
conservative.
Yeah.
Because NFL is more like NASCAR.
Yeah.
But it's like, I guess what we're trying to say is release the Kraken. That's the slogan. Seattle Kraken, proud sponsor of the Mike's Movie Podcast featuring Evan with special guest Adam. And so, we made a deal with them last night. So just laying that out there. Now I'm starting to wish that we're going to extend the Little Boy Sport Movie Festival into Mighty Ducks.
Totally good.
We could, but there's so much else we could do. I was fondly reminiscing.
Reminiscing. Is that like that sounds like in some sort of like Urban Dictionary term.
Renaissance.
Reminiscing, like when you and your bros are like talking
Black
about
people say reminiscing. Black people.
You're just remming. I was remming earlier about the Lighthouse podcast and how much I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Well, because of one of another classic special guest episodes where the guest contributes so much that it just elevates the podcast.
Wait, was Shane on that one? Was that the one where he showed up and then didn't talk and then you made fun of him for like whining about not getting to say what he wanted to say, but like also not saying anything? Yeah, it's hard. I mean, like, I guess I could see his point, although, so with anybody else, I would believe that because it's hard. It's a little hard to get a word in edgewise.
I mean, if you're a fucking pussy.
Well,
like Mike's Movie Podcast is cutthroat. All right, but you have to jump in at any moment if you want.
But you got to be an alpha male to be on Mike's Movie Podcast.
Yeah, if you have something you want to say,
what?
Say it. And even if somebody clearly wants to talk, you just keep on talking over them.
Mike and I have been interrupting each other. Yeah, but Shane's not that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Shane is the guy who you can't get a word in edgewise with. Like, so I was surprised that he didn't have anything to say. I think he just didn't have enough juice that night. No. Yeah, well, we won't go there.
Before we talk about future movies, I just have a couple other quick things I want to talk about. None of them are long. When the kid is in the limo bartending for them, and she's, how did you learn how to do this? And he pours club soda. What did he learn how to do? He pours club soda. She's like, what did you learn how to do this?
So first of all, why the fuck is it club soda? Who drinks club soda? What is the point of getting out the ice and the scotch glasses if it's just going to be club soda? And why does she say club soda, babe?
Yeah.
That is
like a Dennis Miller accent. I don't know what the fuck she's doing.
yeah, it's like a Dennis Miller accent, and it's very upsetting.
Maybe we should, I mean, if any of our millions of listeners know if that's a cultural reference that we are missing, please let us know if the way the mom says club soda babe is supposed to be a specific reference we're not getting. And then the other thing I had to say about the mom, when I was looking up everybody's IMDb page, I didn't even recognize her, but she didn't do very much. She had done some stuff before this, and then she did this, and then she didn't do anything until 1998, when she's the depressed mom of the dead girl in 8mm.
Oh yes,
Who really wants Nick Cage to stay for dinner and is depressing. Yeah. And she's like I remember when we talked about that, she's like the best actor in that movie.
That was good. Yeah, I was going to say that was a compelling character. And
it's so funny because then I went and looked at photos of her in 8mm. I was like, is that really her? And it really brings to the fore how much of a difference bad makeup can do, because she's unrecognizable. It is her, but the fucking lipstick they give her and shit to make her look like a generic mom is horrible.
Everything about the movie is fucked up. It's like, let's have overdone features. You know, I like that actress, and I would be willing to bet that she is a mom in real life. I would bet my life on it. And that she was a mom at the time she made those movies. Also, I'm shocked that we didn't think about it. I didn't notice that, because we did 8mm like 8 months ago or something.
Yeah, I did not recognize her at all. And when I look at them back to back, I can understand why I didn't. But when you see her, it's totally her. And then the last thing I had to say about the mom and the kid stuff, the other best mom kid awkward scene is when she's slow dancing with Gary Busey at the club, and he's like, oh, he doesn't know if his homework. Is there anything he isn't good at? And she's like, he's not good at slow dancing. Like he's tried slow dancing with him and was unsatisfied with the experience.
Right. He can't satisfy her the way that Gary Busey can.
Don, come here, let's slow dance.
I did think that was funny how she was slow dancing with Gary Busey while the agent boyfriend was just like there seething. Yeah. I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's totally forgettable. The big reveal that she was the baseball player is the dumbest, stupidest shit that I will agree is a horrible part of the movie. When he said, it was you, and her in the stands 5 miles away, it's like, yeah, it was me.
They drag it out like 8 minutes too, that scene too, just to really fuck you.
And it doesn't make a difference. Like, who cares? Why would that matter?
Why is it significant? Yeah, no.
I think there's the significance in that scene is that she was always saying that it was your father who was the baseball player.
I know, but like,
well, there you go. I guess Mike's right. There's your gender politics. It shouldn't matter. Dad that plays ball.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, she was creating the myth of the dad because he was not present in her life. So I don't know. I haven't fully formed the thought, but I think there is.
I do think the movie was trying to score some social cred points by having Henry.
I think that was a thing back then. In '93,
yeah,
you didn't get points for that back then.
That's true. Well,
you didn't have a social credit rating.
Yeah. Well, if we're going to throw the movie a bone, that would be the one thing it did right, was have Henry recognize his mom as a sufficient role model.
I mean, that's my least favorite part, because I don't want a moral.
Well, I understand. We established at the very beginning of this podcast that you were not interested in any conventional markers of success for this movie.
Anyway, the last two things on my list are when John, and this is directly related to gender politics. At the end, when I don't remember the context, but John Candy is doing his like monologue for the radio, and there's a part where he goes, "From the days of yore when men were men," and that's a different story. I was like, "What's the story?"
They're ad libbing, like they just did whatever.
And then this is the last thing on my list, which I think we can all agree on.
But keep that note. I do want to talk about the John Candy part real quick. I just want to expand on John Candy for a second here, where I don't think that was some of John Candy's best work in the movie.
No, he's just fucking around.
Yeah, and I think
literally they're like, hey, can you sit here for like 10 minutes and just fucking riff, and we'll put it throughout the movie.
I think this is an area though, the highlights where like Little Big League is just way better, because like the announcer character in Little Big League was like an actual announcer. And I mean, I don't know if they actually broadcast in real life or whatnot, but like where John Candy was just like kind of up there yelling and like not even trying to emulate a baseball announcer at all. So
I like that his voice explodes multiple times. That was my favorite part of his character.
Yeah. What?
Wait, what explodes multiple times?
Radio shit. At the start and the end, it like explodes with electricity.
Yeah.
But the last note I have, which I think we could all agree on, is at the end when Gary Busey is doing his last pitch when his arm's fucked up, and it's in all in extreme slow motion, and they have those Evan Johnson guitar flourishes over the parts when he's like, meow, do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
that's
best
what we call pure cinema. When he's like,
we were both giggling and snickering during that. Oh, that was a good time.
Yeah.
Smart choice by them to put those Evan Johnson.
I tried to see if they credited the guitarist like they did for the Little Big League score, and dumbass Bill Conti not credit the guitarist.
Dude, maybe it's Bill Conti who did it. The riff
could be, but those are just stock like Evan Johnson guitar licks on any like Casio keyboard at the time. Like Casio synthesizers had preloaded sound bites, so you could just. Yeah, we also to whet our appetites for Rookie of the Year, we watched some Eddie Van Halen shreds footage of a lot of that kind of stuff. So we were ready for it. We were ready for that Gary Busey scene. And then when he's in the dugout right after that, and the coach is like, saving you for the playoffs. It's like, no, I felt the arm go. And they have that tender moment. It was like, you let me finish the season before you take my job, won't you? That's
awesome. And that was also kind of a random part because it was not really established that Gary Busey
totally
was
not even close. I mean, like he was going to get traded, and now all of a sudden he's like the next head coach of the team.
So hold on a second. The thing is you mentioned something about that being traded. Is that what did not make sense to me? And this is one of the only things about the movie that just like didn't really track with real life here, which was kind of had to suspend the disbelief on. Was so like Jack is like, we gotta get rid of Rocket here, and so you think he's going to be traded to another team, which would have been a fairly easy thing to do, but instead they just bench him for the rest of the season. So he's still present and he still presents a threat to Jack as far as relationship with his mom, but he wasn't traded to another team. So I don't think the intention was to trade him at all, just to keep him on the team but not play him, which didn't really serve any purpose.
Correct. Well, that whole thing, the whole like construction of the team and characters, like what is with this ambiguous dual ownership between the Duncan's toy chest guy and Mr. Fish, another like silly comic book character.
I thought Mr. Fish was his nephew.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
okay, I missed that.
Or some sort of family connection. Then he pays the price because then he gets demoted to
hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
That's how it works. If you piss off the boss, if you're like the owner of a team or the vice president, and you fuck up, it's not even like you go right to selling hot dogs.
Yeah. So
you don't even get a choice. You're not like, okay, I'll go get a different job.
No,
you're
you can't leave.
Servant, and they pick what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah, like immediately too.
That's part
of
the contract.
He doesn't even wait. I mean, it's like that day.
He's out selling hot dogs.
Yeah, he's out selling hot dogs. I think if you were to take, so here's the thing with movies. When you're making a movie, you might think that it's like all the first take, but sometimes there are other takes or stuff that gets cut. I bet if you were to take all the other stuff in this movie that got cut and turn that into a movie, you'd have a better movie.
Why?
Okay. In closing, I have one thing I didn't like and one thing I did like, which we haven't talked about yet. One thing I didn't like and that I thought didn't fit even more than all the other stuff that didn't fit is the weird Wizard of Oz thing when they first get to the Cubs stadium and he's, what are you doing here? That was good. Then related to that, one thing I did like is when, I don't remember if it's that scene or a different time, when his friends can't continue to go with him into the stadium, when the Evan friend says to the not Evan friend, like, well, let's go back to our dull lives and search for meaning. I thought that was really funny for like an 8-year-old to say that to another 8-year-old.
I say that to my 8-year-old friends every day. How old are they? I think they're 10, 11.
Yeah, they're about 10 or 12 years old, is what I would guess.
Well, once again, we've managed to generate a duration of content about this movie that is longer than the movie itself, which is remarkable.
And superior to the movie.
Well, that's a low bar. Well, you know, don't get me started.
So I think what will really be a challenge is to watch a long movie and to.
Yeah, that was my question. What are you guys thinking of next when Evan said there's so many other options?
Well, I would like to do something a bit more contemporary next.
I would love to. I'm gonna be going to see Licorice Pizza tomorrow night. We do Licorice Pizza.
I have no idea.
I don't know what that's
we
all
don't know
about,
about any movies. By
Paul
contemporary,
New movie starring Philip Seymour Hoffman's son and the young lady from the band Haim in a 70s romance where Bradley Cooper plays like the Hollywood hairdresser guy. Sean Penn's in it being a sleazebag.
sounds good. Sounds fine to me.
Yeah. So what is speaking actually movies, this is an important thing. So I had not been to the theater since pre-COVID.
Whoa.
It's been.
You went today?
I did not. We did not go today. Actually, on Monday, I went and I saw the first movie that I've seen in the theaters for a long time, and the movie that I saw was Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City.
Of all things, why that? That's
Well,
like, if you had me list every movie that came out this year, that'd be like in my bottom 10 ones I ever want to watch.
Yeah, so I think that would be fair. I mean, the answer that I give, I think, is actually going to make a lot of sense, and that is that when I was like growing up, like the Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2 were my favorite video games, and I love those games. So it's just like pure nostalgia is why. Like that movie is like a tries to be a faithful recreation of like those two games. And I just got my booster early in the day, so I'm like, hey, this is the movie to do it. Wasn't very good, but I think it was still notable because it got the movie theater attending juices flowing again.
How many other people were there? How many other people at the screening?
There was one other person there.
Wow, you almost had a solo screen.
I almost did, but there was an experience with that, which is actually kind of fun, which is so immediately above us is what was in the theater, because this was the Regal Meridian downtown. Immediately above us was Ghostbusters Afterlife. And they have some like super loud sound system going on there and whatnot. And so our theater was like shaking, but like in kind of like some like fairly regular intervals, like early on in the movie. So like this guy and I, like, we get up and they're like, is there an earthquake happening? And like we actually both got up and like walked out into the hallway of the theater to see if we thought an earthquake was going on, and like both of us were like pretty freaked out. But then
I'm surprised there's that much bass rumbling in the new Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, apparently there is, but it actually did feel like I've actually never been in an earthquake, but it felt like what you would imagine, where it's just like kind of this like rumbling that like starts and sustains.
Yeah, no, that it really, the few earthquakes I was in when I lived in Los Angeles could easily be confused with sub bass from an adjacent theater. Absolutely, but very reasonable thing to be concerned about.
Yeah. So that was it. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna get back into going back to the cinema there to actually see some stuff in person.
Yeah,
So,
I've meant to see House of Gucci the past 2 weeks, but I haven't made it. But I am definitely going to see that while it's in theaters because of the Italian accents. I'm very excited for everybody's Italian accents in that movie. Movie of the year by a wide margin will be Titan, which is no longer in theaters. But that's
I was looking for that one to see.
It wasn't at Scarecrow yet, but it is on Amazon Prime.
yeah.
We could watch it. I want to see it too. I read the thing.
The new Matrix movie will be another new movie that I'll definitely be seeing right when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing that movie. So
We got John Wick 4.
That's out by the end of the year?
No.
Yeah, I haven't even seen a preview for that.
We got we got it all. Did you guys
Oh, I really liked the new Wes Anderson French Dispatch. I would happily talk about French Dispatch. That was just a few weeks ago.
yeah, so we can think. I mean, we can also see if there's a sports movie from the last couple years, and watch that one, see what's going on.
Well, 2 cheeseburgers for me on Rookie. And
I'm just checking my book for other recent movies I've seen in case I'm forgetting any good ones we can talk
got your
about.
scrapbook of
So
movie
actually,
tickets.
Adam, this is a serious question for you here. So if you go to a Green Bay Packers football game, they no longer have paper tickets. They only have electronic tickets. And I feel like it's reasonable to believe that in sometime in the not too distant future, like movie theaters will be like digital only tickets. And
It will be when the machines they currently have break. Now they just keep using them because they still work. Anytime any of those machines to print tickets break, they're never going to buy a new one. They already don't like it. And like if you buy tickets ahead of time, it discourages you from doing anything but like having it on your phone. So you're absolutely right. I just have to pray that I live longer than the receipt print.
Well,
Otherwise, I'm going to have to like write like notes and calligraphy says the time.
yeah, right, yeah.
couldn't you also just print out your tickets at home? Like print the image from your phone?
Yeah, but that looks like shit.
You can make it. I'm gonna make you a
To
machine.
give you an example of how extreme I get, I saw the new Dune movie at a theater that doesn't have a normal ticket printer. They just like type the amount of the ticket on a receipt. So I printed out the receipt and I wrote the name of the movie under it because it doesn't say on the ticket.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
How many binders?
And then one time I went to see a movie and he was like, "Oh, it won't let me charge you for that movie. I'm gonna just give you a ticket for a different movie." So I had to make a note that was like, "This was actually this other movie, not the ticket that he gave me."
Well, how many binders do you have?
Just this one. This
That
is
one?
2009. This is since 2009. But the New Beverly just has tickets that don't say what it was. Silent any of the repertory theaters that aren't like a big mainstream theater, they don't have these kind of tickets, which diminishes the number of tickets that I have in the book.
Got it.
It's impressive stuff, man.
But just to I'm going to rattle through real quick since we're talking about new movies I've seen since theaters reopened. It's only 2 pages in the book. Nobody, the Bob Odenkirk, John Wick people movie. Pig, the Nicolas Cage Pig movie. That was good. Old, the new M. Night Shyamalan movie. I thought that was pretty good. The new Suicide Squad. Better than I thought it would be. I had a good time. Night House, one of the best horror movies the past few years. Card Counter, the new Paul Schrader movie. That was pretty good. Malignant, the other best horror movie of the year. Titan, twice, best movie of the year. The new Dune, total garbage trash. Last Night in Soho, the new Edgar Wright movie, even worse than Dune, one of the worst movies I've seen in years. And then French Dispatch, the new Wes Anderson movie.
Well, do you generally like Edgar Wright movies or Edgar Wright movies?
I pretty much only like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and I didn't like that until I had to project it every Friday night for several months, and then I like got into it because we would run it on Fridays, which was my night at the New Beverly, and I used to be like, "Yeah, this movie's kind of stupid and annoying," but after I saw it like 30 times, I was like, "This movie's funny. I like this movie." But that's pretty. I didn't like. I remember when Shaun of the Dead came out, people liked it, and I was like, "It's okay." And then Hot Fuzz came out, and I'm like, "Okay, this is diminishing returns. This guy's already done." And then I don't even remember what the one is after Hot Fuzz.
Well, they had like the World's End, I think. That's what it's called.
I didn't see that one. I know people like that one, but I kind of been giving up. And then Baby Driver, which we did in the podcast.
Yeah.
You can listen to the old podcast for that. And then I think this is the first one since Baby Driver. Oh no, and Scott Pilgrim's in the summer. So I think Scott Pilgrim was after Hot Fuzz. It's Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim, World's End, Baby Driver, Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
Last Night in Soho made me want to like punch someone. I hated it so much.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I mean, spoiler alert. Like The World's End is basically the same movie as Hot Fuzz, where it's like halfway through you realize there's like a secret society that's behind everything. So there you go.
Yeah, no, basically, I think he's bad. I think it's incidental that he accidentally made a movie that entertained me with Scott Pilgrim, and I didn't even really like it until I had to watch it a bunch of times.
Mhm.
And he's just getting worse every time.
I can't remember how many cheeseburgers you gave Baby Driver.
I don't know. We'll have to go rewatch the episode.
Yeah.
Well, however many it was, I ate them all. I can tell you that.
I'll drink to that, brother.
I'll drink to that. Ooh.
Have a nice,
Diet.
refreshing Diet Coke.
And again,
Do you-
we thank
do
Diet
you-
Coke, Carhartt, and the Seattle
Yeah.
Kraken for sponsoring
Yeah.
us. And
Yeah.
the reason we can stay here at the Embassy Suites is because of those sponsorships. So keep
Yeah.
them coming, guys.
I want to say a few things that I have seen recently that I thought were funny. Is that I was telling Evan about this earlier? Is that Tim Heidecker has the Office Hours podcast, and he recently did a parody of like the Joe Rogan Experience.
I saw clips from that.
Yeah,
The
which
crab dog.
I appreciated that, and I thought that was a very good parody of the Joe Rogan Experience. So
Do we want to have, we could end this and have a more casual discussion of next steps.
Yeah, should we declare what we're going to do next? I defer to you guys.
yeah, no, I say I think we need to keep the audience guessing as to
Okay.
what's going on next. Because here's the thing, if we say what we're going to do next
Then we're
and they're not excited about it, then like we're losing the viewership for that
So
one.
losing-
Our sponsors are not going to like that. But I mean, so Evan, you said 2 cheeseburgers for this movie.
2 cheeseburgers.
Yeah, 2 cheeseburgers. I will also give it
2
cheeseburgers. I'm gonna give it 1.5 cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
1.5 cheeseburgers, and I'm gonna.
And do you guys remember what you gave Little Big League? I don't remember.
Oh, I think I'm almost positive I gave it 4 cheeseburgers.
Wow.
Little Big
I
League,
never
yeah.
remember what I gave.
Yeah, I mean, Little Big League is again, Little Big League is the Godfather of early '90s.
Yeah, in that it's overrated and boring.
Kids baseball movies.
Listen, I'm jealous of people who have never seen The Godfather because that means they get to watch The Godfather for the first time.
I don't think I've ever watched it all the way through.
Well, that is a movie that we could do one of these days. The Godfather.
No, please. I don't know if I can do it. I might have to sit that out if that's what you
How
want.
about The Godfather? Well, The Godfather 3. What about that one?
Any of it. I would rather watch you guys talk about the Godfather movies for 10 hours than watch any.
Too. I mean, like I'm surprised we didn't think to do that during the early part of the pandemic, Mike.
Yeah.
When we went rogue and did our let's find the longest, boringest movies of all time to watch.
Well, as it turns out, the joke was on us because I like Ben-Hur, and
I did too.
yeah, would you mind if I open this over your Is that okay with you?
Sure you will then.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Just for the taste of it.
Yeah, it's getting chilly in here, so I'm gonna turn it. So like I have like baseboard heating in my apartment, and it's pretty loud, but it's also gets pretty cold in my apartment. So I'm just gonna go ahead and turn that on because I think we're gonna wrap things up here. Anyway, for everybody that made it to the end, I am impressed that you made it this far. So thank you for listening. Yeah, so I'm guessing most people like watch YouTube videos no matter what the video. I'm guessing they probably last like 1 minute and 45 seconds before switching to the next thing. So if you somehow made it this
I
far,
bet they last 15 seconds or they watch the whole thing. There's only 2 options. There's no 1 minute. If you're in it a minute, you'd be hooked and you'd watch every episode.
probably right. But thank you all for joining us today as we navigated a discussion about a movie and friendship.
We all
And-
grew a little bit.
Yeah,
today.
we all did.
We
So
bonded together.
Are you going to play the Mike and the Mechanics song or can I play the Mike and the
if you have
Mechanics?
it queued up, please play.
Well,
play it
I
up.
will just add, I mean, like, I'm happy to have you play it, but like, this is why shit gets removed from YouTube. We know. Like,
Yeah, is there a version of it where it's just like slightly off? Here, how about this? How about
just
I
play it.
how about I hum some Aussie and see if me humming it is enough for us to get
No,
it?
Evan's right. Evan's right. I don't want to ruin this quality pro. But anyone watching should immediately end it and go look up what the fuck is it called? Get Up by Mike and the Mechanics, and imagine us all dancing for the entire duration of the song, which is what would have happened if the oppressive regime of copyright infringement wasn't holding us down.
Well, we could license the song and then we would have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm guessing Mike and the Mechanics probably, the licensing fees would probably not be too terribly expensive these days.
I noticed that you went and got something.
Yeah, I got some cheese. I got some jalapeno cheese. I would stop the recording here, but I'm not allowed to touch the computer again. So you're gonna
Oh,
have to
okay. So, stop.